Okay, it's being recorded. All right. So as I was saying, the red fields are mandatory fields. And because it's the tablet, I can zoom in and zoom out and turn it so that I can have portrait or landscape. All we do is start filling the fields. Now, there's three ways data can be entered into the document. One, we default to the keyboard, which is easy when you're handing it to somebody else to fill it in. The other, if your keyboard has a microphone on it, you can actually dictate, touch the mic, talk, and it will type what you say. The other is handwriting. So we can actually set this up so that if you wanted to handwrite, you could actually cursive handwrite, and it would actually transcribe your handwriting to type text as you scribble. So I'm just going to put in a few fields of information here. When we get to the Social Security number, we can build in logic and business rules to the document. And again, this ensures that I'm getting the correct information and the correct data the first time. So the Social Security number is broken up into its three components. So I'm going to enter in a value here and go to the next one. As you see, that box automatically became red because we have a logic behind this that says the minimum number of characters that can be entered is 3, and the maximum number of characters that can be entered is 3. So if somebody puts in too little or too many characters, the field becomes red, and that button up here that's red, I can't submit this document until all these red fields are fixed. So if I come back over here and correct it, get rid of one of the numbers, it goes away. And you could do that throughout the whole document. And I'm just going to quickly put in a couple of things here. We can also set it up so if we know it's a number field, we can default to the numeric keyboard versus the regular keyboard. And a number. All right. Some of the other things before I go too far. We have yes, no. Only one can be selected. I can change my answer and we can deselect it. We can group as many of those boxes that we want. We can also group conditional. So the ones up top, those are individual based on the day that I have to. But I can also build a condition on that that says if any of these are checked, make another field mandatory, things of that nature. So there's a lot of logic and a lot of business rules that we can put into the document. So when I turn the page, anywhere repetitive fields are, the name, address information will automatically pre-populate. So there's my name. I come down here, apply my signature. I'm using my finger, but you can use a stylus. Anything you want, the date and time, we use the date and time wheels for those kind of things. You can also set it up to use keyboard. We can also format the number so that if you want to have 2 digits and 4 digits, or 1, 1, and 3, or whatever, there's preset formats that we can do in the system. So again, turning each page, I go to my I-9. Half of it's already filled in. I just fill in the blanks. Here's another example of making fields related based on, or making them mandatory based on their relation. When I check that box, the corresponding values become mandatory. Again, I can't check that box and not give you that information. So if I'm processing this document on the back end, I'm going to feel confident that 95 to 98% of the time when I get this document off of the tablet, it's going to have all the necessary information for me to submit the document. We can do calculations. For example, we can also add photographs. So let's say, for example, this box, I wanted to have an image, maybe a headshot of the person, or with the I-9, I have to get copies of these particular documents. Some of our clients have a blank page after this with boxes so that they can put in certain photographs or take pictures. So I give you my driver's license, my passport, my green card, whatever it is. I can actually take a picture using the tablet and it would embed those photographs right in the spots in the document. So it's not a separate attachment, it's embedded in the document and goes wherever the document goes. So those are some of the features. And again, this is 16 pages. As I said, I have documents that are 84 pages. We can do tests and have those tests auto-scored on the tablet. So whether a person's taking a competency test or any number of tests that are given to the aides or to just your employees or evaluations, things of that nature. They can be done on the fly. They can be scored on the fly. So again, how much can we make this documentation work harder than you do? And really, that's what we try to accomplish with this. Another nice feature like on the assessment documents is that, let me get to it, home care assessment. Again, here's a little bit different, but you're going to see narratives. So this is good where, I have to put in paragraph style input with the keyboard. Fine, I can just type, hit the return, and we'll just keep going. Again, if my keyboard had a microphone, I could talk and just fill that whole comment box by just talking, and it would type out everything that I want to say. There's spell correction, word recognition. So if anything came up that's, like not recognizable, it's either going to show it to you or you can go in and actually change it and edit it right in the box here. The other thing I wanted to show you here was we can actually have embedded diagrams. So if I needed to come in here and edit and highlight this, I can pick the color that I want to use, the thickness of the line, and actually just draw on the document. And that becomes part of the document. When I finish, that now is part of the whole document. So we have some people who have, pictures of adults, children, arms, feet, things of that nature, so that they can narrow down the information they want to have. So these are just some of the things that we can do. But again, the only limitation we have is your creativity in terms of what you want it to do. And again, these boxes up here that are mandatory, I can't enter data in here. And when we have that, it's because back on page 1, I needed to put somebody's name in here. So client's last name, Duck, first name is Donald. And if I go back to that page, there it is, pre-populated with the information. So there's a lot of nice things that we can do with the documentation. Any questions so far? Is there anything in particular, anything else you would like to see? Questions?
We're good so far.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. So now that I have my documents, once they're submitted from the tablet, the application automatically, Natural Forms is going to create a high resolution PDF of that document with all its signatures, everything it wants that's embedded in it. When it's delivered to the server, it also creates a data file for every field of information in the document. So for every single one of these checkboxes, I have data. For every field of information, I have data. And between the PDF and that data file, there isn't a software application that we cannot take these documents and put it into, which leads to that document management system. So now if I needed to manage all these documents, whether it's client documentation, my human resources side, or even my accounting, my financial side, this one system could basically take everything you have in file cabinets and manage it electronically. So let me just get logged in here. I don't remember this password, so give me a quick second. Now, the system I'm actually going to show you is an application that we set up for another agency. So once you get logged in, you're brought to this dashboard. And right now, they only have one catalog in here, which is human resources. This coding queue represents like a work area. So for example, if a document is submitted, we can have it go directly into the employee's folder. And if one doesn't exist, have it create those folders and create the subfolders. But if I needed to have something, let's say, approved by another department head, I could have it go into this coding queue or work queue. So a document can be submitted from the field. It comes into that user's work queue. They can go in and do additional processing on it. Let's say, for example, you have like a office use only area where information has to be submitted after the document is entered into the system. That's where you can do it. So when I go into the human resources catalog, we have this active folder. Now, in all of our applications, we create what's called the active and then an inactive folder. I can hire people today. Doesn't mean they're sticking around 6 months from now. So if they leave us, we can actually, with one button, take every single piece of paper, every subfolder, and move it from the active to the inactive folder with just one mouse click. That's also good in case an inspector comes in and says, fine, I want to see all your I-9s from June to November of last year, 2018. If everyone was in this one folder, then that person would see current and past employees. By having that active and inactive, I know that that inspector or the documents that I search for are only going to be active clients or active, employees, things of that nature. So when we go into the folder, last name, first name, and the ID number. Now, the ID number can be something specific, or we can grab it out of the data. For example, last 4 digits of a social security number. That way, if we're grabbing it from data, no one has to touch this document from the time it's submitted from the tablet until the time they look in this document management system. When I go into the employees folder, we now see the subfolders. And all of this was created off of that document from the tablet. Nobody did a thing. I go into my application. There's another series of subfolders further defining what each one of those documents is for. And if I go into a folder, then fine, I just see all the various, when they were submitted, things of that nature. We got timestamps and things of that nature. So these folders and the way this system works can be set up any way you want. So if I wanted to, like, for example, showing you, this is a power search. So if I come into human resources and say, all right, that I-9 example, I want to see all I-9s from a date range. No particular person or whatever. All I do is put in the capture date range, hit go, and every single I-9 or related document would come up. So I can narrow it down if I had employee's name or that ID number. So these are the indexing fields that we look for. Again, this user has the ability not only to look at the active folder, but also the inactive folder. We have accounts that have a specific login for inspectors. So the last one we did, they only wanted to be able to see the I-9, medical, and there was one other one I forget at the moment. But when they logged in using that specific user, they would see the human resources and only 3 out of all of these various document types. And that's the only thing that that user could look at. So we can isolate documents just by users, just as you would on a network. If I give you privileges to see the accountant documents, you get to see them. If you don't, then you only see your documents. So the two systems combined basically allow you to do anything you want. Now, as far as capturing all those documents on your desk and all the stuff that's on the file cabinet, from the system, if I needed to capture a one-off, let's say I walked in your door and I gave you a medical physical for me. So I need to put that into Fred's folder. So I just come in here and say capture electronic. I'm going to provide the information now. It's going into human resources and what's the document type. So I just scroll down and find medical. The capture date. What is it? The employee ID number. I'm going to use a different number now. Fred Dunwoody, status, active, and then I choose a file. I'm just going to take anything off of my computer.
Hey, Fred, while we're on statuses, can we add
Yep.
to the number of statuses you have as I push applicants through?
Yes, this could be set up as however you want it to be. You're basically, we're going to work together in terms of like looking at your documents and sets and things of that nature, just like all those folders and the document names. Let me just take this for example. Let me just get this. Hold on. All right, so these document types that are listed in this drop-down list, that you decide what you want those documents to be called, what your folders to be called. We work together just to make sure what you want can be achieved in the system. So as far as, you know, the status, active, inactive, you know, pending, whatever, this could have a list of 20 different titles or things that you want to label. And again, the system will be built based on how we set that all up and what you want. So the limitations to this, there really aren't that many. And I haven't been approached by a client that says, I needed to do this. Can it do it? And we really haven't been able to get it done. The only thing I haven't been able to do is have it wake you up and make your breakfast in the morning. So, but for the most part, as far as managing documents, we can get it to do whatever we want it to do. So, you know, once that document is selected, I just say upload, and the system does what it wants to do. It'll give me a confirmation, and then I'm done. So if I go back to the folders, I'll see another folder for Fred Dunwoody, but the ID number is 777. Folders, human resources, active. There it is. So getting back, now Fred has a folder in a file cabinet that's 5 inches thick, and I want to get every single one of those pieces of paper in that folder into this system. Here, we would use what's called a cue card packet. So again, I would provide the information. Again, this is just a title that we have that says move it all, but it talks about all the documents. ID number, I set this stuff up, and I say go. The system now will generate, remember those barcode or section covers with the barcodes? There they are. So now I have 36 pages in here, and these 36 pages represent every single document type that we have for a person. So this is the application, the next one is 8850, you know, so on and so on. I print this. With these 36 pages and Fred's 5-inch folder, I tell somebody to sit at a conference room table and just sort that folder out and take anything that relates to his background, put it behind this cue card. Anything related to the W-4, put it behind that cue card. Once that folder is all sorted out, I take that whole pile and I scan it to a folder that the document management system is monitoring, and it grabs it up and does everything you saw before. Creates the subfolders, puts the documents where they are. The system knows that between each one of these barcodes, the documents from the first barcode to the next are all related to this particular document type. And then depending upon how we tell the system to create those folders and subfolders, the system knows what to do. So you can go back in your file cabinets 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long you want. Hire somebody just to sit down and say, okay, sort this out. If you have any questions, just ask, put it in a pile, scan it, and just move on. Now, everything from your desk, everything from your file cabinet, anything delivered electronically. We can even monitor emails with certain, let's say, subject lines. So If I'm at home and I want to send you a copy of my driver's license, I can. You just tell me to use a specific subject line in the email. We set the system up to monitor the email for that subject. It grabs the attachment and uses the data from the email and puts it in its proper place.
Hey, Fred, quick question.
Sure.
Let's say in the scenario that we would want our applicants to apply online before coming in, is that possible?
Mm-hmm.
To be able to fill out the forms and everything without stepping a foot in here?
Yes.
And how would
now,
that work?
Well, for most people, they'll either have a web page, a form page on their website. They may even have somewhat of like an application document, which is a fill-in PDF or something like that. Using a web page is easy. A web page captures data. All we need to do is either work with whoever develops your website, take the data that's submitted from that page, put it into a CSV file. From there, I can use the CSV file to populate documents on the tablet. So to give you a quick example of that, I'm just going to come over here and delete this so that we have a clean slate. And now I'm just going to go to the example I have, which is in Google Drive. So we use a CSV format. The field names in the CSV file match the field names in the related document it's going to go into. There's two pieces of information we have to provide that just identifies the tablet and names the file. So we call this pre-population. So it's also good if you're doing assessments and need to go back and do a reassessment. We can use the data from the original assessment, save it, and if I go back 6 months from now, 2 months from now, I can actually go into and open that data file and say, okay, pre-populate the document. So we have several different examples, but I'm going to open up this one. It says Mickey Mouse. It's an assessment. I'm going to do a reassessment. This could also be the file that I'm going to use to do the HR documents and onboarding and the orientation and the testing. I grabbed it from a website. Doesn't matter how we get the data. We just need to take that data and put it into a CSV file, just either one line or multiple lines. I click on the dots here. I say open with the application, Natural Forms. Launches the application. Oh, I've got to put in my password. Am I doing this right? No. I don't remember. No, I'm doing this wrong. I had too many passwords floating around in my head. There we go. Mickey Mouse's assessment. When I open this document up, you saw the assessment document before. Now it's pre-populated with data from the last assessment, but we also omitted certain fields of information. Because what is it? Is it an assessment? It's a reassessment. And again, the date changes. So we can either populate it with all the data or only selected fields of data, which means now those other mandatory fields, I have to provide that information in regards to this document. Again, if I try to submit that document by touching that red button, it tells me all the different pages or fields of information that haven't been filled in. So if I touch on this signature 828, it's actually going to take me to that page and that field for me to sign in. And I could just keep doing this, go back in time, and it just flip the pages, take me to the date field that I need to go to. So again, there's a lot of flexibility in terms of what we can do, how you want to work. And again, the combination of this particular application with this document management application, again, I can put data and I can put files anywhere I want. If I'm out in the field, I can log in on the tablet, log into the document management system, go to Fred's folder, look at his assessment and say, okay, fine, I can see the PDF that was submitted 6 months ago. All right, yes, talk to him. Load the data, pre-populate the reassessment, make the changes in the medications or whatever, submit it, and now I have the new assessment.
Fred, quick question about the functionality of uploading documents. Let's say if we decide to go with a system where our applicants can apply online through our website. Where would it store the documents that let's say if somebody's uploading a picture of their ID or a picture of the certificate, would it know where to put these documents?
We would just have, if you're using the document management system here and they're uploading it to your website, we just have to figure out how do we create a connector between where it's being stored over there to a capture process here where it can get that documentation. And again, if I'm just sending you a picture of my driver's license and you're just uploading that with no other information, we could sit down and say, okay, this is a driver's license. Maybe we can try to scrape some of the data off of the driver's license to populate, remember those index files, so it knows where to put this document. Again, if I can't read information, then where we put it will be in somebody's work queue. If I can't identify the first name, the last name, that ID number, which defines which folder or which client or which employee that goes into, then it will go into a default work queue or somebody's queue for them to look at that document and then provide that information so it can be stored the correct way. But you never lose it. Even if you filed it wrong, you know, somebody misspelled a name or the ID number was wrong or whatever the case is, I can always go back in and fix that, change the name and everything else. And again, if all the documents would move based on the fixing of that. So there's a lot of different ways we can, you know, manage the processes. Get from, let's say, you got somebody uploading it to Google Drive or OneDrive or something like that. It's going to a website, you're attaching it there, and from there it's saving it somewhere. Again, all we got to do is make a connection to from there, from point A to point B. We get that going, then the documents are captured. Did that answer the question?
Yes, it did, Fred. Can you go over cross-functionality with HHA Exchange?
Oh, okay. As far as HHA Exchange is concerned, coming back over here to the tablet, and let's just look at this for a second. In HHA Exchange, they have certain fields of information, demographics. I believe I showed it to you the last time, so let me show everybody. Let me just get the PDF up. Give me 30 seconds. Hopefully this is the right doc. If not, I'll find it. Come on, PDF, open up. There we go. All right, HHA Exchange data migration. So basically, what they have is data in different aspects. So we are able to take the data from the tablet and using a connector, connect it to HHA Exchange and pass that data on into these various interfaces that they have. So whether it's patient or caregiver information. I'm actually working with another client right now. They're asking for it to go a little bit further than what we have here. But HHA Exchange basically has defined on the import process, let me get to it, here we go. So there are certain things that they have. This happens to be for caregiver demographics just by looking at certain things on this particular page. But we already know what the formatting is to get the data in there. These are their requirements. So when the data is submitted from the tablet, now I could have a document that has 20 fields of information or 2,000 fields of information. We parse out the data that needs to be shared with HHA Exchange, put it into a format, CSV or XML, and then pass that off through a connector to HHA Exchange. HHA Exchange on the other side will receive it, and there are a couple of different things. So in that file will be your agency ID, office ID, and if it's a new employee, then depending upon how HHA Exchange wants that done, do they want this number before they receive the file, or will they create that number once this file, this new client file, is uploaded? That can be discussed with them. So once we have the format and we have the data this way from the tablet, it's again, connect A to B, pass the data over, and as long as they have the import process on their end working, your data is uploaded into HHA Exchange. So from tablet to document management system to HHA Exchange, no one's touched anything except one button after the document is filled out.
Fred, how does it work? Is it given a certain time in the day that we upload information, or is it done instantly every time we get a new applicant in?
I believe you would have to work that out with HHA Exchange, and if I recall correctly, they'll probably push you to a once at the end of the day, so a concatenated file or a batch file, which is fine. I mean, that can be done. The nice thing would be in basically real time. I touch it here, depending upon how long it takes for HHA Exchange, 2 minutes, a minute, 5 minutes, it's there, it's up there. So now I'm out in the field, I just processed an assessment, but now people in billing can actually bill this thing or work on billing it, and they don't have to wait till the end of the day or the next day to start working on that document. The whole idea of going digital and having it real time is so that I can react on it real time. I can bill on it real time. If there are issues, I can address those issues in real time as opposed to chasing somebody down later to get missing or something that's an errors and omissions. The big thing we hear now is quality assurance. I mean, when we're talking about documentation and the accuracy of data and submitted data and being able to compare it to what we have and things of that nature, I see a lot of agencies now hiring quality assurance people, quality assurance staff, just to make sure the documentation that is going out, the documentation coming back, everything is in compliance, gives me everything I need, has everything I need, so that I can process it. If we did the right job here, added the conditions, the logic, mandatory, made this document the first time submitted the right thing, then everything else falls in line. All the data matches, all the field information matches, everything matches moving downstream, because this one document submitted is absolutely the way we need it.
Hey, Fred, so how many home care agencies have you said that you have worked with already or currently have as clients?
Quite a few, actually. Right at Home franchise, we have clients from coast to coast. A lot of independents. Most of the independents are within the region here. Getting ready to do a couple of things with a few other franchises. But the process I showed you before, the document management system that I was showing you, that was built for a right-at-home agency. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, all the agencies basically have the same foundations, and the core documents. And even between agencies that are in the same franchises, like you work with HHA Exchange. Every agency, HHA Exchange is standard. Their client portal and their client application is standard. Their caregiver application is standard. They could try to do all kind of things for you as far as forms. They even have a clinical side or a clinical component and things of that nature. With my system, I could take this assessment, change it upside down, overnight, backwards, turn it inside out, create a PDF, put it in my system within an hour, it's live. And as long as the field names are the same, it could be totally backwards, but I still have everything correct. Putting this document in our system, I could teach anybody in your office. No programming skills, nothing required. If they know how to create a form out of a PDF and a Word document, they can use this. That plain and that simple. The only thing they probably would have trouble with, sure.
Sorry, can you tell me, like, what is the home care agencies that you're working with, like, what is the most popular part of, like, what you're doing? Because the client assessment, it's throwing me off because we do it in exchange, like live from the patient's home. So I'm
Okay.
not seeing how this could benefit us. From the caregiver side, like, it's pretty appealing. So can you tell me what most home care agencies are using this for?
From the employee side, caregiver side, HR, all the documentation for HR. So you have all of that onboarding stuff. You have the orientation, you have quizzes, you have tests, and things of that nature. Whether it's done in the field or evaluations, fine. I go in and I do an assessment. Am I doing a performance evaluation on the aide at the same time, or the caregiver? If I wanted to also do a client, if you have anything to do with star ratings, or there's all kind of things coming around now in terms of the quality of the service in the field for readmissions and things of that nature, things that need to be checked, things that need to be done. Are we doing those kind of things? Well, if I needed to create a form to have that done so somebody can evaluate whether or not it's done in the field, I could do that in Microsoft Word overnight and put it in here. So if you are running around out in the field with already tablets and you're connecting to the clinical component of HHA Exchange and doing the assessments right there, and that's fine. There's nothing more you need to do. There's no additional documentation that needs to be done. There's never a situation where, oh, shoot, I wish it did this. But if you say that, I wish it did this, then let HHA Exchange do the 80 or 90% of the things that it does well, and then put that other 10 or 15% of it in here. So now that you're 100%, it doesn't matter if HHA Exchange has it or not, you know you can get it done. But on the HR side, anything you want. From client engagement.
So
I don't know if you deal with.
When you're saying that, we can use, if I have a clinician out in the field and they're using Exchange, they would have to log in somewhere else to complete this form that Exchange cannot complete for us, right? They'd be logging into the app?
I was just going to ask, are your people in the field carrying laptops or tablets?
Laptops, like Chromebooks, basically.
Chromebooks, okay. If you deploy
so, for example, if I have they have consent forms to sign, right? So currently we're using the Exchange except for the things that the patient needs to sign. For that, we're using paper. So if I want to eliminate the paper, they would have to
Yep.
complete the assessment and exchange, and then the rest of it in your app?
Yep, that would be, have the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can create things, like I said, on the fly overnight. Yep.
What do you mean?
Fred, we could also create one form with all information that's on HCJ Exchange and then push that through.
Yep.
The form will remain and the signature will, yep.
They enter it there, and then this information goes to exchange. But their clinical side is like pretty complicated. The exchange, like all the forms and stuff.
But they can mirror it.
And so instead of doing it in exchange, you would do it here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Fred, I have another question for you.
Look, just for example, I mean, I'm not sure. I'd have to see what your documents look like, but for
Pretty much,
example
yeah, pretty
here,
much looks, that's a 485, yeah.
all right. So, again, each one, like I said, each one of these fields of information, if I'm coming in here and I check off this particular box here, that corresponds to a field in HHA Exchange. All we need to know is what that field name is called in HHA Exchange. We name it the same in our data file and give them the data, and they upload it. So this can be as complicated or as big and detailed as you want it to be. Medication profiles, whatever you want it to be, it's entirely up to you. The other thing our application does, where, and again, being connected, Wi-Fi, using my phone. My phone is the best connector in the world. I just turn my phone into a hotspot. But our application, I don't need to worry about whether or not this is connected. If I have 5 calls today and I can't get connected, I can still do my work because every single one of these documents is accessible offline. HHA Exchange, you need to be connected. If the connection is bad, is it going to fail on me while I'm sitting there in the middle of the client? Will it save all the information? Do I got to start over again? I don't need to worry about that. I could be 50 stories underground and still fill out this stuff. Come up for air and submit every single document. It's how you want to work. Right now, you have a process. If that process works 100% for you flawlessly, don't change it. But if there's cases,
Obviously
like right
it
now,
doesn't, that's why we're on the phone with you.
and the nice thing about this is,
are we able to put,
no, what I was going to say
are we
is
able
that,
to put videos?
not yet. It's one of the things that we have coming. So
What's that? You're reading our minds?
no, these are things that people have asked us for. It's like, like, for example, I can sign this document in front of a client, but let's say I needed to send it to somebody to have it signed. So people use either DocuSign or Sign Now for those kind of things. That functionality is going to be in this application by the end of the year or sooner. Things, like I said, if I need.
Hold on a second. So if I want to do, let's say, these 485s, that's what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
Normally they're sent out to the physician and then we track them. So you're saying
Okay.
that there will be a functionality that will allow us to send this directly to the physician and have him sign?
Right. Yep. And then
how?
I would have that physician, once they sign it, and it would be a document just like DocuSign. They get it, they can sign it. And when I have them send it back, I would have them send it back in such a way that it would go directly into the document management system in that client's folder where it needs to go without anybody touching it. Or if it needed to go through an approval process, then once this is received from the doctor, it goes into, let's say, the whoever is the head of, clinical. It goes into their work queue. They now know they have this back from the doctor. Fine. It matches what the aide did on that. Fine. Put it in the folder. Let's move on.
So it will give them a notification that there's still a document needs to complete, and then once it's completed, they can push it into the
Right.
storage.
It would be right there in that
So
coding queue.
here, okay, so I have a question. So one of our biggest challenges in an agency our size is tracking the 485s, whether or not they're signed, how long it's been, and we're trying to figure out a way to track this, not just, sending it out, but what's outstanding, how long has it been outstanding? Is this something that we can work on as far as like document management and tracking for this that includes sending it out to physicians and pending the physician's signature as kind of like the second to last step of completion?
Yep, exactly. So just off the top of my head, I would have, when that document is submitted from the tablet, the first thing it would do is come into this document management application. That physician's order would go into, do two things. From the document management system, if the physician's email address is in the document, I can grab the email right from the document, right from that page, and send this document to him electronically with a note. So, fine, change order, we need your authorization on the attached PDF, yada, 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 please forward it back, whatever. If not, then an administrator in their work queue would have for the day a list of documents that were submitted from the field that need to be processed. I now look at that and I say, oh, this is for Dr. Dunwoody. All right, I look up Dr. Dunwoody's email address, and from this system, I email it to Dr. Dunwoody with the information that I need. Please return it. When it comes back, it goes back into my work queue. So now I know I received it back from Dr. Dunwoody. I now open it up, check it, make sure he signed it, everything's correct. I hit commit. Commit, it goes into the employee's file. And if you wanted to generate a report as far as, like how many documents of this type are outstanding, things of that nature, again, it's data. If you wanted to, let's say, from this point, all right, when this document is submitted, for every document that's submitted, I take the data from this document. I just want to know that I have this document, when it was submitted, maybe a few key pieces of information. I can take 5 pieces of data, put it into a dashboard. And every morning I would open my dashboard and see how many documents of this type have been submitted, how many have yet to be approved, how many have been done, whatever. But there's all kinds of things that you can do, because now you have not only the documentation, but every single piece of data that you want. So you want to create.
So I have a question for you. If the initial process, so let's say I want to use this document management to track all of my medical orders. I have like 700 currently outstanding. Is there a way that I can transfer information, let's say, from Exchange to your document management system initially, just to create that baseline?
Sure.
Or would it have to be entered through, yes? Sorry, there's
No,
a delay.
the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Actually, let me kind of just show you something. Get back logged in here. We are able, even from here, to connect to third-party sources. So if there's a way, and let's say HHA Exchange lets us connect to their system, then I can actually, from the document management system, grab data from HHA Exchange in order to facilitate work rules and processes here. So there's a lot of different ways it can go. It's just a matter of, like I said, we sit down with you. You explain how you want this to work. Your 700 files already, if you already have the paperwork and the documentation, I just come over here and say, capture it now. I can either capture it individually electronically, or I would do it in a batch. Once I have that, I have the data now. Let's set up some rules. And when I put that in, is it processed? Fine. If not, then it goes into a work queue, somebody's work queue. So that when Fred opens up in the morning, he comes in the morning, there's 10 documents in his work queue. He's got to work on these, all right? Get these approved from the doctors, follow up with the doctors, make sure they get it back to us. It was submitted, emailed to them on the 10th. Today's the 19th. I need it back.
So let's say another issue I'm having is, so you're saying I can create workflows, custom, like however I want. So if I'm having issues, let's say scheduling my nursing visits and tracking the visits, if we start with like with a piece of information, let's say new patient, I can create a workflow step by step and assign it to people to follow up on. Like, do you think that I can somehow work a scheduling system here, like to keep track of what visits have been scheduled, what has not been scheduled? Because that's something we're struggling with Exchange.
Wait, really? I thought they had a scheduling application in there. I'm not going to say.
Yeah, but it's kind of like to pull a report from there, we have to run like 2 or 3 different reports to get, one number. And then also there is no like real workflow process for scheduling the visits. Okay, I mean, I guess that's something that I can think about, but the medical orders, it sounds like a good way to track them. Because right now, what are we using? What is it called? Pipedrive. So we're using Pipedrive, or we're trying actually to use Pipedrive to create the steps for tracking a medical order to signature. So do you know Pipedrive?
No, but I will by tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just curious if we can create some kind of workflow similar to what we're doing.
It's a CRM product.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I'd have to see what their features are, whatever the case is. But like I said,
it's actually not exactly what we need, but it's like the closest we found to be able to do what we need to do as far as tracking the orders.
This is how we manage.
But okay, I can always involve
here.
my clinical team. Okay.
We build triggers based on the type of documents, actions, what do I do with it, and rules. All right. So literally we can build rules on any piece of information. All right. And where I had showed you that, for example, most people right now, these are the primary index fields. That can be expanded to whatever we need for a particular document type in order to build a process, whether it's the data capture, data return, a number of different things based on that document. We just need to define what fields of information we need to identify to use as performance indicators to build a workflow. And that's just by us talking together and building a process out, creating it in here, testing it, and everything else. There aren't too many things that can't be done. It may be, a custom program has to be created in order for it to be done. But between the document and the data we capture, I'm going to say that there isn't too many things that we can't do. And it depends on cost. Again, some applications just, like maybe too price prohibitive. But if the benefit on the back end, as far as what you're saying, if I'm able to track this information, get it, and have it in real time versus chasing people down and chasing others down and trying to figure out where it is, then that time saved is just revenue to the company. It's profitability.
Well, Fred, thank you again for all your time. And can you send us this recording?
Oh, sure, not a problem. I can definitely do that. Be more than happy to.
I'll be in touch with you next upcoming weeks.
Okay, excellent. I look forward to working with all of you. I welcome the opportunity and the challenges. Absolutely. Push the envelope.
You found the right people. That's what we do.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, everybody.
All right,
have a
thank you
good
so much,
rest of
and
your
we'll
day.
definitely be in touch.
All right,
You too,
bye-bye
thank
now.
you.